The Texas Democratic Party is suing the state to expand who can vote by mail. The lawsuit asks a federal judge to give any eligible voter the option to vote by mail if they believe they need to do so to protect themselves or others from the coronavirus. Texas Democrats point to what happened last week in Wisconsin, where their election went on despite the health risk to people voting in person. Governor Abbott says he does not want to expand mail-in voting. He says he has a better solution.
I think that people have a legal right to vote in person, and we need to try to conduct elections consistent with that. Hence, the superior strategy is exactly what I ordered in an executive order, and that is to move the elections that were scheduled for May to July, hoping that by the time we get to July, it'll be more accommodative for people to have the option to vote in person.
Texas Democrats say they don't want to stop in-person voting. Our Wes Rappaport spoke with the party's lead counsel, who says this lawsuit is about holding elections safely amid the threat of COVID-19.
Want to talk to you a little bit about vote by mail and this lawsuit that's been filed. Why do you think that it's important to expand vote by mail options for Texans?
Well, unfortunately, all Americans watched the debacle that unfolded in Wisconsin, and whatever your political preferences are, you can't have been happy with a situation where people were out standing in line, touching voting equipment, exposed to one another in this time of pandemic, just to secure the right to vote. So the Democratic Party here in Texas has been at the forefront weeks ago of saying we have to begin preparing for a lot of our ballots to be cast by mail. It's going to have to be an all of the above solution. There's no question there are people who will still need and have available to them in-person voting, but it's a lot like the ventilator situation. We've got to flatten the curve. In-person voting is going to need to be the demand for it lowered, and the only way to do that is to vote by mail. Now, fortunately, Texas law already provides for vote by mail for military and overseas voters, voters over the age of 65, people who won't be in their county during the voting period. And it also provides for people who have a medical or disability can request vote by mail. So we think people at home who are social distancing to protect themselves or others fit this category, and we're asking the state courts to look into that.
The governor says that the best course of action for voters here is essentially to do what he already did, which is extend these elections out maybe far enough to where the impact of the coronavirus would be lessened. With this election already delayed, why continue this push for the expansion of vote by mail?
Well, what the epidemiologists and the public health experts are telling us is that there's going to be, if not widespread, pockets of virus transmission going on essentially until we have a treatment or until vaccine. And we're already seeing that in other countries, South Korea and China, that have begun to open up in some places, have immediately noticed their cases have increased. They've had to engage in what's called contact tracing and quarantining to try to keep those at a reasonable level. And so we think that that's what you're going to see in Texas. And there's no way for us to predict, 2 weeks out from election day or election morning, for example, of Harris County or Travis County or someplace else in the state, one of these rural counties, their county judge has to lock the county down to stop the virus transmission. There's no way to plan for those things. So we've got to plan now. Voting in November is going to happen one way or the other. We can have Wisconsin, or we can have a reasonable process where everybody gets a say. Setting up a situation where people have to risk their health to vote doesn't get us to a place where we have free and fair elections that people can have confidence in. Vote by mail does, and that's why we're pushing hard to get it.
That was Wes Rappaport reporting. On Thursday, Austin City Council passed a resolution asking the governor and the Secretary of State to allow all Texans to vote by mail during the coronavirus pandemic. Keeping count of COVID-19 cases in Texas, but the numbers could be incomplete.
It wasn't until she literally wasn't able to breathe that they were able to get her a test.
One family's tragedy is shining light on a problem with testing and tracking. Hear how one state leader responded to their story.